this is the video for Dad's 70th birthday. Because we're in the middle of a pandemic, understandably no one could get together to celebrate your birthday, Dad, so we thought we'd all chip in together and make a little video. What I might do to start with is do an on this day. 18th of July is a very important day. A very important man was born on this day a fairly long time ago. This man has shaped the way that we live our lives, and I couldn't imagine a world without him. And that man is Nelson Mandela. He did a lot for South Africa. He was the first black president. But I digress. On this day, let's have a look. 1817, Jane Austen dies in Hampshire, age 41. Not so good. In 1918, Nelson Mandela was born. There we go. 1929, the first volume of Mein Kampf was published on this day. 1976, Nadia Comaneci became the first gymnast to be awarded a perfect 10 in an Olympic gymnastic event. Well done. On this day, 1950, the highest ever methane flare was detected over Adelaide. This also happened to be the same day Andrew was brought in the world 70 years ago. Happy birthday, Dad.
This broadcast is coming from Victoria, so please be aware and please note that I have done everything I can to protect myself. Happy birthday, Andrew. 70. Oh my goodness. It's a shame that we weren't all there to get together, but I hope you have a really good day. And enjoy the photos that I sent. They're a bit of a giggle, aren't they? Probably some you haven't seen for a while. But whatever you do, I hope you have a good time. Enjoy, and we will catch up with you as soon as everyone can come down here and visit us. You know, I do remember Andrew a lot being in the cellar at Crossroad. He was always up to something, blowing something up, disgusting, sulphur-smelling, revolting stuff. But you were smart, Andrew, and you were intelligent. You didn't have to do anything around the home. Anyway, I guess you were 8 when I was born, so probably didn't see that much of you. Anyway, all I know is that sometimes you really didn't smell good, and I'm sure that's why you got the end of the house with the back door, so that you could open it. And you did spend a lot of time in there, Andrew. You would have to wonder what you were doing. Anyway, obviously all that hard work's paid off, and you're living in a very free and sunny state. So hope you have a really good day. Don't know what you're going to do. At least you've got a bit of a choice. Anyway, we will have to do this all again when everything is open. Yeah, I'll come back if I think of anything else.
Just wanted to wish you a happy 70th birthday. And I'm glad to know that you're well in all regards. And Jenny's asked me to mention something about, I guess, in the past that was considered memorable. So one thing that really stuck in my mind was the time we went on holidays down to the south of France to the nudist colony. And I remember the day you ordered one of those sail skis or whatever. It's a surfboard with a sail, and you decided you'd go out and have a bit of an adventure to see how good you were on it as well.
Look at the kitty.
I remember that day was very quiet with the wind, and however the sail thing took you out quite a bit. And on one side we had the clothed area, and on the side that we were on it was the unclothed, so it was a nudist beach. The wind blew up apparently, and you were blown off course. You went over near the clothed beach, very close, plus you passed a boat with a lot of tourists that were all clothed, and it was quite an adventure for you, I believe. Plus the sun was shining bright, and by the time the wind blew you back onto shore, you were quite the lobster, I remember, quite sunburned where you shouldn't have been sunburned. But that was one of the one of our favourite memories from in the past. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I wish you all the best.
Okay, so I'm doing this section on the fly without rehearsing it, so we'll see how we go. I wanted to share some of my favourite memories as well. In case you didn't know who I am, I'm Jen. I'm the favourite child. So, some of my earliest memories when I was a little girl was going to Albany Creek Macca's on Saturdays, and we would go along and the lady behind the counter would remember our order because we used to be there every Saturday. So she would know exactly what I wanted. And it was always with Dad, and it was really nice just to get out of the house and go and share a meal. Another one was the houseboat adventures that we used to have. I remember we had a houseboat on the Gold Coast, and the family, I think it was like one of the first holidays we'd had in such a long time because we'd moved around so often. And we jumped on a houseboat and we went out in the Gold Coast canals or wherever it was, and you know, it was just lovely to cruise around and spend time with the family. I'll get to a story in a second that was awful, but one of the other things I used to love doing is when I was a little girl, when we were at the beach, we used to make these things called poo castles, and it sounds awful, but we used to get the sand and run it through our hands and make these little castles that we would just stack up along the beach, and it was one of my favourite things to do, and I think I do it with my children now, and I don't think they're that enthusiastic about it, but it was definitely one of my favourite memories, and some of my favourite photos were from that time. Dad's the kind of person that his sense of humour is just terrible, and I remember stupid things like we would be driving along and we would see a bit of carpet lying by the side of the road, and he would emphasise the word pet in the word carpet. And we'd be driving along, we'd see it, and he'd say, "Oh, that poor carpet, that's someone's carpet. You know, it's been left by the side of the road. Can you imagine how lonely that poor piece of carpet is?" And as kids, we used to actually feel sorry for these things. And I don't know how he did it to us, but that is stuck in my head, and I'll never forget that he could make us do that. One of the worst ones was when I was little. I was unfortunate. We had animals in the house, and I was unfortunate enough that I got worms as a child. I was probably like 10. I don't know how old I was. And Dad loved to embarrass me. So in front of the boys, he used to just pull out "Jen has worms" at any point where it would embarrass me, to the point where one day I think we were on the computer and he wrote it in Microsoft Paint and had it on the screen and had a good old laugh. I was pretty upset by that stage. I'd had enough of "Jen has worms." We all knew I had worms. We didn't need to go on about it. Same vein of computer stuff, Dad used to take us to the computer swap meets when we lived in Melbourne, and I used to love that. I loved going along and seeing all the bits and pieces, and he sort of taught us how to build computers, which was really cool when you're a young kid and you sort of know how to put something together. So I'll never forget that. So the story that I'll tell you about was the time that we went to the airport. And I think we were travelling overseas, and we went through security, and I turned around to Dad and I said, "They always test me when I go through security. They'll always pull me aside and do that drug test or the bomb test or whatever it was." And I said, "Dad, you just watch. They'll pull me aside." And as it so happened, I walked through and they pulled me aside and they did the test and everything. And Dad sort of snuck through security just after me and sort of stood there, waited for me. And as I was getting tested down, he says to the security officer, he goes, "She told me she always gets tested. That's why I always carry the drugs." And the security officer just looked at him and went, "Oh my God, you can't make jokes like that, sir." And Dad's like, "Oh, whoa." And the guy was pretty serious. So after, I was so embarrassed. He got a dressing down by that guy, and he almost got pulled aside. We nearly didn't get on our flight because of that. So yeah, Dad's jokes sometimes become completely inappropriate at the wrong times, but you know, his sense of humour is always there, which is good. And as a side note, I remember once getting on a plane to come to Brisbane, and I had Dad's set of car keys, so that was always fun. Anyway, those are just a snippet of the little memories that I always have. You know, Dad was always fun growing up. He'd always take us to Saturday sport, and we'd always go out for an ice cream afterwards or something like that. So, you know, those kind of things are remembered when you grow up, and I definitely will make sure that I'll do that with my children. And in terms of my kids, they absolutely adore Grandpa, and you can see how much Grandpa loves them. So much so that when I had Callie, I also got my hair, I went from a brunette to blonde. And my dad didn't even bother looking at me for about 3 months. Every time he saw Callie, that's the only thing that he would look at would be Callie. To the point with me having my hair blonde for 3 months, he turned around after 3 months and said, "Oh, have you gone blonde, have you?" I'd been that way for so long. He didn't even look at me. He was only interested in what Callie was doing. So, at least he had love for her, which is nice. Anyway, that's it from me. So I'll sign off and let other people have their say. Okay. Happy birthday, Dad. Like that.
Hello, Grandpa. Happy birthday. I love you.
Yeah. What's your favourite thing that Grandpa does with you? Does he read you the Max the Turtle?
Yeah. That's my favourite Max the Turtle book. And it's almost my birthday in the half of the week, I think.
I know. Is Max the Turtle your favourite thing that he does with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, what about the Tickle Monster?
No.
You don't like Tickle Monster? What about Fat Legs? When he does Fat Legs too? You hate Fat Legs?
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate everything.
Yeah, but you love your grandpa and you love him coming around to see you, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you say to happy birthday?
Happy birthday, Grandpa.
Say love you.
Love you.
Hi, Dad. I think the favourite memory I have of us two is our trip to Hong Kong and Macau, and us having a grand old time over there in Macau in the casinos and the all-you-can-drink bar that we managed to find, and then stumbling home back through immigration and customs and somehow getting back into Hong Kong. And I guess followed by the next day of going to Disneyland and me almost making you vomit on the teacup ride. You weren't feeling very good that day. What about you?
Yeah. So, Andy, I have too many fond memories of you. One of my favourites is when we were watching The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo together, the Swedish version. And you and Sean turn to each other when Elizabeth Salander is asked, "How many babies do you have?" And she says, 9. I thought that was such...
9 babies?
That was such McNeil humour. But on a serious note, and I'll take off my glasses for this, I've really enjoyed getting to know you over the last 10 years, and I think my favourite memories, which all kind of meld into one, is our chats outside Clear Mountain in your house on the table, just,
Cracking open a passion fruit?
Yeah, cracking open passion fruit and shooting the shit. But I've really appreciated you, and I feel like I've learnt a lot, and I look forward to more of those chats in the future.
And I guess,
happy birthday.
Happy birthday. I guess one of my favourite things from childhood is also fat legs.
Oh,
fat legs.
Stop it.
Favourite memory, probably all of our trips to Europe, just travelling overseas with my father. We get up to a lot of crazy shenanigans and whatnot, and I have to sort of push him into a lot of things because he's a bit of a scaredy cat at times. But no, apart from the Europe trips, I'd say probably his favourite memory would be the time in Sizzler where I made a cute little piece of art out of my ice cream and he pushed my face into it. It sounds worse than what it actually is, but yeah, it's probably his favourite memory, that's for sure.
Back when I first started dating Jen and sitting on the lounge, hand on her leg, and you made me, well, not made me, you said something like, "What's your hand doing on my daughter's leg?" And I shit myself. Yes, that's the first time I noticed the McNeil humour. Other funny things about you and things we like. I remember in Thailand, you went to the same Thai restaurant for a meal every single time because you really liked some pad Thai that was pretty average anyway, but you loved it, and that was pretty funny. Another thing, the dad jokes you used to make, like when you were getting your dog put down and you still managed to make light of it by making a joke about 2-for-1s. I thought that was pretty funny. And then, of course, we just love the fact you come over every Tuesday just to see us and the kids. It's not something most people would do. So
with the Max the Turtle.
Yes, with Max the turtle and the kids, and they love it. We love it, and we appreciate it. So happy birthday, happy 70th. Enjoy.
Hello, Andrew. July the 18th, 1950 was when you were born, the first child to Barb and Malcolm. Congratulations, mate, 70 years old. It's a great achievement, and it's been a pleasure to share 68 odd years of that with you. So well done, mate. And I guess it all started, as I said, you were the first child for Barb and Mac, and Barb thought it was just terrific, mate, because she could put you on the change table to change your nappy. And you know, the old change table, they were just a sort of cloth table with no sides or anything else. And Barb would change your nappy, Andrew, and then she could head off out to do shopping and whatever she had to do. She could actually leave you on the change table all by yourself. She'd go out and come back a few hours later and you were still there, hadn't moved, hadn't cried. So you were the perfect baby for Barb and Mac, and so I guess they thought, well, this is easy. Let's have some more. And then 2 years later, along came Janie and I, the twins. I think that possibly changed their opinion on perfect babies and that. However, they did then go on to have 2 more children, Alistair and Sarah. But Andy, you certainly were the perfect baby in every respect. You even had your own bedroom and ensuite bathroom at 175 Cross Road, while the rest of us, Ali and I and Sarah and Jane, used to share bedrooms, but you as the golden-haired boy had your own bloody ensuite and all that. But you deserved it, yes, absolutely, no doubt whatsoever. You certainly were, hands down, the most intelligent of all the children. We won't go into common sense, but certainly the most intelligent of the children. And your, I guess your career started with a scholarship to St. Peter's College, well deserved, of course, and then a scholarship with, I believe, with the army, and it should be recognised that Andy, you rose to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel, and then Colonel, full Colonel, I guess, which many people may not realise that is one step from becoming a general in the army, General McNeil. I think if you hadn't retired when you did, then there would be no doubt that you would have been the first general in the history of the McNeil clan, and well deserved. I do recall that in March 1992 you were the senior medical officer at the Northern Command headquarters in Darwin, looking after, I think it was Kangaroo 92, in charge of a hell of a lot of troops and special air services and that. So, Andy, this is certainly not insignificant and well deserved, of course. We at the time, and still are, very proud of what you did achieve and still are achieving, mate. However, to get there were a few sort of hurdles that you crossed. You know, one of the hurdles, I guess, was you owning a motorbike and actually living through riding a motorbike around Adelaide. It's just it's one of those quirks of nature that you didn't kill yourself, but you didn't. You will recall it on a rainy day at the intersection of King William Street and North Terrace. You slept up to the front of the queue of cars that were waiting on the green light, and so as soon as the green light came, you gunned your motorbike, and as you realise that the coefficient of friction between white lines and rain and rubber is pretty close to zero, so all you did was spin the tyre and fall over at the head of the queue of all the traffic. And but you know, all credit, you just sort of lifted your bike up and dusted yourself off, and off you went as if nothing really happened. But the start of, I guess, when you were young, you didn't really know what direction you wanted to take in life, and I think it was a toss up between being a scientist or a doctor, and a couple of incidents, I guess, helped you make your mind up in terms of your career. And one of them was at 175 Cross Road, we had a cellar, and you used to conduct experiments down in the cellar. And I do know that if you'd actually got the combination of chemicals correct when you were trying to make nitroglycerin, had you got that right, I'm sure that it would have taken out about 100 blocks of houses around Cross Road. Fortunately, you didn't get it correct, and we're all still here, but that would have been an absolute disaster. So I guess you then concentrated on a medical career, and that started off with you grabbing Janie as she was walking down the corridor of 175, and with your chloroform soaked rag, and trying to sort of anaesthetise her just to see how it went. I can't remember the outcome of that, but Janie's still here and you're still here, so another failed experiment, thank goodness. But a few other things along the way, Andy, that come to mind, and I guess it's all part of the roasting that we've got for you. The other kids will no doubt fill in a few of the other incidents that are dear to their heart in regard to your association with you growing up. One of them, of course, was I recall fondly, was when we were at Gawler on the intersection of the main road and I think 6th Avenue or something like that. It was a corner block, but we had a big almond tree that and to get the almonds down rather than climb up and knock the almonds off, I used to get a brick and throw it in the air and hit a bunch of almonds, and they'd all come down to the ground, and you were there as a kind of spotter, and so up went the brick, and I was a bit concerned about whether it would come down and hit you on the head. Had you stayed where you were, everything would have been just fine, but I did say, I called out to you, I said, Andy, look out, look out, look out. And so you made a dash for it, and of course you dashed towards where the brick was coming down, and inevitably it hit you on the head, and maybe that was a turning point in your future career, because I don't know, it may have helped, it may have sort of retarded you, but the end result was still pretty good. Now, spear fishing. You were a great spear fisherman, Andy, and you hold a certain dubious record. We used to go down to Aldinga Beach and Silver Sands for our summer holidays, and we used to do a bit of spear fishing in the shallows. Or spear fishing, I think it was gidgee we used to use, and of course we were all out there swimming in the water. You were there spearing fish, and you certainly got the catch of the day. It was about a 50 kilogram fathead. The fathead was poor old Janie. It wasn't a flathead. You spear her in the abdomen, and so well done. You still hold the record for the biggest thing on the end of the gidgee. Unfortunately, it was Janie. So it's been a wonderful experience, Andy, growing up with you. You've provided us with many hours of entertainment, and so thank you for that. I guess the last incident, I guess, that I recall, I don't. There's a bit of conjecture about whether this really happened, but it's a good story. Was when dear old Barb was in hospital, not going all that well, and she was lying in bed, and we were all around, and she called you over to whisper in your ear, and you sort of got close and leaned up, and you said, yes, Barbie, what is it? And she said, Andy, I can't breathe. You've got your knee on my chest, which is very topical right now with the I can't breathe situation and protest at the moment. And I guess you were the first I can't breathe sort of instigators, and look what that's grown into. Well done, Andy. You've never mind. That's sadly, Barbie passed away shortly after that. After you assured all of us that Barbie was going to last for another couple of months, I think Sarah buggered off to Victoria, and we all kind of left, and dear old Barbie was passed away the next day. However, we can't pick them all. Don't. Anyway, we'll leave it at that, mate. It's been a wonderful journey, and it's a pity that we couldn't all get together. We were all due to be in Adelaide, I think, next week for a big 70th, but the pandemic has sort of put a kibosh on that. But look forward to maybe doing it next year, or at Janie and my 70th, and get together and do them all together. But Andy, have a seriously, on a serious note, have a great birthday, and I trust that there'll be many, many more to come over the next couple of decades. Have a good one, Andy. Happy birthday.
Hi Andy, this is Jane. Jennifer has asked us to say just a few words about our growing up with you. Well, it's always interesting. There's probably half I have to leave out. But we had a very good family life. You were the indulged child, the one with the ensuite and the single bedroom, because you were smart. And I reckon half the time you were in there, not studying, but sitting on the toilet reading the newspaper. And then you come out and say, anyone wants to read the newspaper? And we all said, oh no, thanks very much. But our life was good. Mum and Dad were amazing. That sort of fell apart towards the end there. But we all got on really well. We still all get on really well. Life changes though, of course, as you get older. Sorry? Oh, that's right, happy birthday. Sophie's mouthing to me, say happy birthday. Happy birthday, gosh, you're the first one to reach 70, and I'm sure the rest of us will get there very quickly. Just such a shame we can't share it with you, and this jolly coronavirus is a pain, but South Australia are keeping us safe and coronavirus free, which is great. Won't be up to Queensland for a while. I don't think I'm ever going to see Sarah again. But I have to say our growing up was, we were very lucky as children. I can remember Mum used to cook a great big oven tray of cake in an oven tray, and you, Ian and Alistair used to eat the whole lot after school. It was unbelievable. And of course the time that I'd taken when we lived in St Peter's, Mum used to make chocolate biscuit, and she said to me, could you take that tray out and give the crumbs to Andrew and Ian? And I said, oh okay. So I went out the back, no Andrew or Ian. And I came inside and I said, no, the boys aren't outside. Well, you decided to hitchhike to Gawler to see Nana. So I didn't care that you weren't there. I ate all the crumbs by myself. The police came, they thought someone had abducted you, and I think you got as far as Parafield, which from St Peter's to Parafield's a fair distance, so you did really well. But you know, I'm 2 years younger. You were off at uni when I finished school, and I didn't really see much of you. I think you spent some time living with, I think, Graham Thompson. I don't think you were studying medicine. I think you were studying red wine. I can't quite remember, but I think that's right. That's probably all. I have to say that we did have a good childhood, and we were very fortunate to have really good parents. Have a great birthday. Bye.
Happy birthday, Uncle Andrew. I enjoy our quizzes every Sunday. I'm sorry we can't do one this week, but we love it. Enjoy your birthday and we'll see you soon. Yay!
Happy 70th birthday, Andrew. Didn't think I'd ever be putting those 4 words in the same sentence. But let's go right back to the beginning, and I'm sure Ian's probably touched on this, about what a wonderful baby you were. Always lying gently on the changing table, and we were regaled with stories of how wonderful you were. And I'm sure that Barb probably wasn't exaggerating when she told us about the time that she went to Western Australia to visit her sister and left you on the changing table, only to return 3 weeks later to find you still there, gooing and gargling gently. But she did find out that while she was away, you had actually mowed the lawn, repainted the house and built a 2-room extension at the back. Blessed with many natural attributes, but the main one that I recall as you were growing up was luck. Pure, luck. Now, this was amply demonstrated by the many near-death experiences that passed your way, particularly when you're on a motorbike or driving in a car or trying to avoid bricks. Teenage years, early teens. School was never a problem for you, Andy. You're always gifted scholarship to St. Peter's and whizzing through school, academic awards, and finally getting straight into medical school. But you always had a natural interest in science and that sort of thing, and this was spiked, I think, really by that one disastrous birthday I think you had, or Christmas, where our completely negligible and thoughtless parents gave you the chemistry set. The chemistry set was a great joy to you, but it was the bane of your siblings' lives. In particular, our peaceful existence was often punctuated by the occasional explosions emanating from the cellar, and we regularly had to evacuate the house for fear of rotten egg gas poisoning. It seems that you had been producing hydrogen sulfide on an industrial scale down there. Medicine was always a thing for you too, and you took to medicine really well. Before you actually got into the course, though, I know that you experimented with various things, anaesthetics, I think, at one stage via the chemistry set, and of course the ambitious attempt at underwater appendectomy by spear gun. Fortunately, Jane survived. But when you did get into medicine, you were a joy to have around. You were wonderful in the years when you started medical school. I remember one time when we were on holidays, you and Johnny Russell were down there and down at Silver Sands, and I'd been out swimming and had inhaled a little bit of water and came coughing and spluttering out of the water. Fortunately, you rushed to my aid, and after a short time, you told me that I really should get my affairs in order because I obviously had advanced lung cancer and only a matter of weeks to live. I did also have the fortune of spending some time living with you in that glorious little 2-room slum on Fullerton Road, I think it was. Because I was pretty skint and didn't have, I had a lot of time on my hands and not a lot of money. I used to do chores around the house for you, and I used to cook for you. I used to sit down of an evening and have a meal, but your enthusiasm for medicine was so great that I remember one particular time when we were eating a nice little Italian meal that I prepared, and you brought out a specimen jar, enthusiastically pointing out the varicose veins that had been removed from someone that day. It was a wonderful time for you, but quite traumatic for me. I haven't been able to eat cannelloni since. From medical school, you joined the army, and you spent many years in the army travelling to a lot of different and exotic places. And again, that natural attribute of luck kicked in for you, because I don't think any of those places actually had a conflict going on at the time. But I think you spent nearly 3 decades in the army doing that. You rose through the ranks and got to be quite high in the medical corps, I believe. But I do remember one time again when we were on a holiday in South Australia and we were having a nice peaceful time over there, and you got a call from your superior, and I think you were ordered to get a medical team together for Somalia, I think it was. And I expressed my sorrow that the fact that you'd have to end your holiday now and head back and do that. But that was simply brushed aside by a phone call to your major, and to your major you said, get a medical team to go to Somalia, and that was the end of your particular duty in the line of command. I do remember thinking at the time that how wonderfully our defence budget was being spent. But you did move around in the army. You met your beautiful wife Susie in the army, and from that union grew 3 beautiful kids, to whom you have proved to be a wonderful and supportive father all the way through, and wonderful and supportive to Susie all the way through too, I should add. And that shows the sort of compassionate human being that you can be occasionally, which I think is really good. You're always very hospitable. I remember one time in Melbourne, when I was visiting Melbourne, I think it was Melbourne, and you took me out for a night on the town, which proved highly traumatic for me. I didn't realise that places like that actually existed. But I'm managing to work my way through it. This was only about 30 years ago, I think, and my psych says that I should be able to live a normal life quite soon, in the next decade or so. So, just wanted to say happy 70th to you. I hope you enjoy your day. I'm sorry that actually we can't be there to share it with you. We would love to do that. Sue sends her love, and I do hope that you, as I said, that you have a wonderful day and you enjoy all the people that surround you, particularly your family, and that you enjoy them and they enjoy celebrating it with you. So, happy birthday, mate. See you later.
Hello, Andy. Happy birthday. Happy 70th. From East Arnhem Land, in fact. Andy and I were at school from the age of 12 when we became friends. He was on a scholarship because he was very smart, and my parents had to fork out for my education. So we went through school together as good mates, and then we went through university together as good mates. And then we parted ways somewhat. He went off to the army, and I went and lived in England for quite a while, but we've seen each other every now and then, every few years. And as a true tribute to our friendship, it's just like we'd seen each other the day before. Andy hasn't changed one little bit. I'll tell you one story. The bravado of youth, this exhibit. So we went to the Warradale pub one night as students, and we both had a belly full of beer, and we were a little bit chickered when we left. And so we go to the car park and we hop on Andy's motorbike. Now, Andy did a wheel stand. It was quite accidental, but he did a wheel stand, which left me standing where the bike's journey had begun, and he took off around the car park roaring with laughter and came back and picked me up, and somehow we were delivered home safely, and I still to this day wonder how that ever happened, because we were both quite drunk. Anyway, all the best, Andy. Happy 70th. He's a lovely guy. He's always been a lovely guy. He wouldn't have an enemy in the world. So, all the best, and we'll catch you sometime. Cheers.